Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the National Security Team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
Do you know what the plan is to deal with the Haitians who are having their temporary protected status revoked in Springfield, Ohio?
Driver's licenses are no longer valid for Haitians living under TPS.
So you're supposed to call the Haitians visitors.
Yes. I don't care. I love it. I don't care. I got this feeling on a summer day when you were gone. I crashed my car into the bridge. I watched, I let it burn. I threw your shit into a bag and pushed it down the stairs. I crashed my car into the bridge.
The people of Springfield, I found, they have no issues with Latinos. The issue is with the way the Haitians were given special treatment. They say, it's like our leaders put Haiti first, Lisec said. Haiti first. Is that what American immigration policy should be? Or should American immigration policy benefit Americans first?
I love it.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show, folks. We're live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. Well, it's Training Tuesday, and today you'll learn how Springfield, Ohio, once a classic Midwestern working-class town full of blue-collar people, became ground zero in America's immigration fight. Thousands of Haitians arrived under temporary protected status. TPS is the way they refer to it these days in the lying media. Locals raised the alarm about overcrowding, strained services, cultural classes, and yes, the viral reports about pets being eaten. That's right, the dogs and cats. The media and the politicians called it all a hoax. Heritage residents were labeled racist and told to shut up and gaslit for describing what they saw with their own eyes. But what if dismissing the story as a hoax was the real hoax? Well, today's guest is New York Times bestselling author, lifelong Ohioan, and my friend, Joshua Lisec. He didn't just tweet about it. He spent weeks on the ground in Springfield. He conducted original interviews. He's gathered public testimony and hard evidence and commissioned the first professional poll of Clark County residents. The result is his forthcoming book, Haitians of Springfield, an Oral History, the first full-length account of this American migrant crisis. It documents what happens when one's culture's norms begin to supersede another's without any voting, without consent, and without recourse. Joshua shows the widening gap between the lived experience of foreign influx in the middle America and the approved narrative that was force-fed to the rest of the country. This was not by chance. It was policy. And the people of Springfield, Ohio, paid the price and still are, in my opinion. Joshua Lisec joins me now. Joshua, welcome to the Rob Maness Show. Let's get into this book. I think it's probably the most important book after your two New York Times bestsellers that the American people will read in the coming years.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you having me on. I would humbly submit that your book, What You Can Do About It, would also make the list of significant works that the typical American can read, because so often we feel, as Americans, normal, everyday working people, demoralized over these things that happen upon us. And there are things that can be done. We can participate. We can speak up. And I thought about my own situation. You know, I'm a professional nonfiction book ghostwriter. I'm an editor, and I've co-authored books. I've authored these books, and I thought, here is my neighbor. I live in Dayton, Ohio, and here is my neighbor, Springfield, that has been greatly suffering under the Biden and Mayorkas era importation of many thousands of uniquely unassimilated, and in many cases, unassimilatable Haitians. The people tell me, and I conducted hundreds upon hundreds of interviews. I've lost track. Some are probably around number 400, Rob, of the people. We're talking former and current politicians. We're talking first responders, working professionals, city and school district employees, former employees. Many of them had to remain anonymous, unfortunately, publicly, but I was able to confirm third party their identities and aspects of their stories, which of course was key. And what has happened is that Springfield was silenced when, and this is what everyone understands, and this is what you mentioned, Rob, when the stories of eating the dogs, eating the cats, eating the pets of the people that live there, when that little soundbite went viral, and together with the other stories about ducks and geese and what have you, a lot of the Springfield residents actually were both confused and upset. We should get into that. Why was Springfield confused and upset? Well, they told me
Yeah.
the wrong story went viral. Here's the great irony of all this. When the Haitian flux began and accelerated from 2021, we saw the caravans of people, the Haitians who had been living in Chile and Brazil, coming up through ultimately Central America, Mexico, and then to Texas. They
Yeah.
were basically sent, many of them, to Springfield, or were brought there by family who were already there. We had the people tell me the city's estimate of 20,000 maximum is significantly lower than the reality. The people's estimates are between 32,000 and 35,000, so significantly more. And this is a city of 59,000 people, which puts
Wow.
it at approximately more than half, more than 50% increase in 2021. And the immediate impact was felt across schools, hospitals, workplaces, the streets. One positive outcome of the Haitian influx, I heard over and over again from educated people. We're not talking like people who were like, there's Bigfoot in Snyder Park. Okay, we're not talking about that level of due diligence. We're talking about college educated people. We're talking about physicians, legal professionals, esteemed individuals within the community, journalists even, first party witnesses, and also, this is the best part. They would say, Joshua, that's actually one of the benefits of the Haitians. They took care of our stray cat problem and our overabundance of Canadian geese. We hated those little SOBs. And
Yeah.
here we come, the Haitians. You go to the park and you see them scooping up all the Canadian geese. We look away because they're taking care of that problem for us. We don't have to worry about the cats and the rabid cats and the flea and the mangy cats and all that. They took care of that. It's a real big problem, accidentally running them over and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I would hear this again. Oh, we had another stray cat colony, in our alley. Oh, great. Well, the Haitians move in next door, and then suddenly the colony is not 15, it's 13. A couple days
Wow.
later, it's 12, 10. A month later, it's 3. And then they feel bad, and it's like, okay, we'll take him in and get him a flea collar and do the thing, and then try to rehome them. And that story is over and over and over again in Springfield. And the
Wow.
people, again, like I said, was not a big deal. And they said that's one of the only good things the Haitians did for us. They took care of our cat and our goose problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you've never lived where Canadian geese kind of hang out from time to time, you haven't lived with goose crap. I'm telling you. It is a nuisance beyond The
And also,
pale.
it's a real traffic problem because in the Canadian Goose processions, it can shut down
Yeah.
traffic for a good 15 minutes. They'll just come and stand
Oh
in the
my
middle of the
gosh.
road with their with their goslings, and it's a real problem. But speaking of roads, that was by far the number one complaint from citizens of Springfield
Mm.
about the Haitians, is their third world driving maneuvers.
Yeah,
People call
well,
them
yeah.
Haitian stunt drivers.
Dig into that, Joshua, because I don't I haven't lived among Haitians, so but I went back and reviewed video after video after video of cars overturned in the roads. What is the deal?
Yes, so as is typical for underdeveloped parts of the world, the people who do drive here in America, the way we do
Mm,
things is you put your right foot over the accelerator, switch it to the brake, gas, brake. You
yeah,
switch,
yeah,
right? So you don't
yeah.
get it messed up.
Right.
Well, the Haitian stunt drivers, as do other people in the underdeveloped world, they put their left foot over the brake and the right foot over the accelerator. We don't do that in
Uh,
America. But the result is and you might have observed this in the Middle East and elsewhere where traffic laws are more like suggestions. And if there's a stretch of desert and there's a traffic
mhm,
jam and
mhm.
you got somewhere to go, you'll just drive through the desert.
Oh,
You
sure,
just go
sure.
off the trail, just go off of that. Stop signs, road signs, especially those that are in English or you don't know what they are, and you speak Creole and Portuguese because you lived in Brazil for 7 years, let's say,
Yeah.
and you come to America, and there's a red light in front of you, or let's say there's a train and traffic is
Mm.
stopped, and you got somewhere to be. Well, there's a yard over there, so just drive through the yard. Oh, you knock over the gate. Oh no, that's fine. That's their problem. Truly a low trust, low conscientious society was imported to Springfield, Ohio. And citizens began raising complaints. There were obviously a number of deaths, people killed. Eventually, Haitians also, unfortunately, would lose their lives in road accidents related to the third world driving. And the city commission, city leaders, local leaders, community advocates seem to have consistently sided with the Haitians. And this resulted in assimilation happening, yes, but Springfield forced to assimilate into Haitian culture,
Oh.
Haitian ways of life. And we've sort of termed the NGU administrative complex that consists of county and city governments and
Mhm.
agencies, together with area employers, plus business interests, and the churches, the nonprofits, the various community advocacy groups, organizations, charity, philanthropy works, etc., all have seem to align with a Haiti first priority system of Haitians to the front, Haitians gets first pick, Haitians need more help than you. And it was immediately racialized to, if you don't like being relegated to a second class citizen, you're a racist. And because Springfield is
Wow.
largely white, an inordinate number of, let's say veterans and blue collar workers, gray collar workers, has really struggled
Mhm.
since NAFTA, unfortunately, going from
Yeah.
about 80,000 a number of decades ago down to just under 60,000. Then you have the opioid epidemic. And unfortunately, I think the same white male underemployment crisis
Mm.
that has hit a number of cities and states that have prioritized DEI mandates and ESG has resulted in a lot of despair amongst the citizenry. And the people tell me we were picked because we could not defend ourselves. We were picked because we had no recourse. We were picked because we were vulnerable. And then they will tell me this is not simply the working class, this is even the educated and entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders. They will say to me, Joshua, we were punished for being white.
Wow. They actually said that
Oh,
in the
yes,
interviews.
and this is not like one or two people. This is the consensus of the heritage citizen, the Americans of Springfield, Ohio, and I believe this to be true because racist is an anti-white slur. It's an anti-white hate
Yeah,
slur.
yeah, it
It can
is.
only be leveled at one group, and it consistently has. So let's say that someone witnessed perhaps a cat being abused, let's say, by a Haitian family, or a pig or a goose being butchered and plucked and whatnot and processed in the backyard of an apartment complex or the front for, let's say, a voodoo ritual, because Haitians do bring voodoo with them everywhere that they go, which really upset a lot of Christians in Springfield, by the way. They believe it's like satanic, demonic activity, and they actually experience something like demonic possessions, spirit possessions, where they go into a violent rage. There's been a number of machete incidents around town, domestic violence, sexual harassment, very common by the Haitians against the heritage citizenry. Again, the white women specifically. And if you've expressed this, if you post about this on social media, if you give an interview, your employer gets a call because, oh, you have this horrible, evil, racist person that works for you that you should fire. Are you this racist? Look at what this person said. So there were HR threats, there were job losses, there were demotions, there were loss of promotions and responsibility. There were businesses that had to be shut down. There were separations and divorces happening all across Springfield as a direct result of the Haitian impact. And the fact that the people were let's say, harassed and threatened into silence. And one of the harshest stories was about the people who were first party to so many of these incidents with the animals, or city employees and city contractors, who of course have or would have state pensions.
Right.
A consistent story I heard was city leadership threatening the city employees, saying, you have to sign this NDA, this confidentiality agreement, that you're not going to say what you saw, or you lose your pension.
Oh
And
my
if you
gosh.
ever say
Oh,
that you
man.
saw the cats or the geese
Yeah.
or the ducks or the what have you, and you sign your name to it and your position at the city, you lose your pension at the state level.
It sounds like an Orwellian story, Joshua. We got to take a commercial break. When we come back, I want to dive into that a little bit, but we'll see a clip from a citizen that talks about straight talk. But he's not, I don't think he's being interviewed by a regular media person. It looks like an independent media. We'll be right back with Joshua Lisec, author of the new book about the Haitians in Springfield. It's a horror. It's a horror story from what I'm hearing. We'll be right back.
Take a look at the water you just poured. It looks clean. It tastes fine. But what's really in it? Lead, fluoride, arsenic, chlorine, pesticides, PFAS forever chemicals, pharmaceutical residues, and bacteria. Every single day, these toxins flow straight from your tap into your glass, into your family. It's time for Sentry H2O from Worldview Water. Sentry H2O is the ultimate water treatment technology, designed to remove harmful toxins, balance your water's pH, and enrich it with essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, the way nature intended. From commercial scale systems to whole house filtration to crisp, delicious drinking water right at your kitchen sink and shower, Sentry H2O delivers cleaner, healthier water everywhere you need it. No plumber, no tools, no plumbing knowledge required. Perfect for homes, apartments, rentals, RVs, refrigerators, and more. Because everyone deserves access to clean, healthy water. Visit worldviewwater.net. That's worldviewwater.net.
What's happening in Springfield? A Haitian invasion.
How many Haitians do you think have been sent here?
20,000. That's what they're saying.
And who pays for their housing?
Government assistance. You know, some of them do work. You know, the way I understand it, you know, a lot of them work at Dole, and Dole's paying for their houses. The staffing place on High Street, they said they was paying them like $12.50 an hour. So.
Did Springfield's residents used to work at Dole, and now they?
Yes.
So have they lost their jobs to Haitians?
Yeah, a lot of them has. And then, you know, we're supposed to call them visitors and neighbors, whatever. You know, if you start talking about them, you're supposed to be nice. And we talked to a lady a couple nights ago, and she said if she wasn't nice about it, you know, nice to them and talk about them nice, she could lose her job over it.
So you're supposed to call the Haitians visitors?
Yes. Neighbors, visitors.
Neighbors, visitors.
Freedom of speech, we can call them whatever we want. Yeah, the past 4 years they've been coming in here, but within the last 6 to 8 months, they've really come in.
Really?
I guess they're trying to get them all over here before Trump gets in office. And, you know, with the rumors about the ducks and the geese, I mean, I've never seen them with one, but they thinned out the population real good.
Fact checkers love to say this is fake, but the thing is, it's true. Dole Fresh does have a facility in Springfield, Ohio, and it has employed Haitian immigrants. They do things like pack ready-to-eat salads and more. Local reporting even confirms, but the company itself denies the specific number of Haitians, and this is the big one. They deny details on their immigration status. There is only one reason to deny details on immigration status, and that is because you're hiring the illegals that the Biden admin dumped in there. If we take a look at what the minimum wage is in Ohio, it's $11 an hour. The claim is that they're getting hired at just above that. And if they had to pay American citizens, an American citizen would make an average of about $15 to $22 in Ohio. So by importing all these Haitians, Democrats were able to help out their transnational companies by giving them minimum wage, cheap foreign labor so they don't have to pay Americans $22 an hour. And then they get the votes from these people. It's a win-win.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. It's Training Tuesday, and we are learning from firsthand from Joshua Lisec, the author of his forthcoming book, Haitians of Springfield, an Oral History, about the truth. Joshua, one of the reasons why I was excited about this show is I've read excerpts of your book. I've seen you talk about it. I know you, and I see that you used my book, What You Can Do About It, the things that you helped me put in that book to actually take action on these guys. But the gentleman in the interview, he was pretty frank about it, you know. So they're getting corporate vouchers and government vouchers. Is that a true assumption from that interview?
Yes, what the Clark County Combined Health District, together with city like FAQs, they sort of try to do. Let's say they put some effort, minimal effort as it may have been, to try to pacify the heritage American citizenry a little bit and say, this is a federal issue. Don't blame us. We're doing the best we can. We too have limited resources, limited. Oh, we need help from the state and the federal government. We didn't choose this. We didn't know. And this sort of kicking the can into somebody else's court, or mixing a metaphor, as you guys know what I mean. And they would say things like, well, there's the people are saying they're getting these benefits and they're getting welfare. And then they would add, they can qualify, they qualify to receive just about as many of the benefits, and I would say freebies, gimmies, stimmies, and handouts that anyone else would. And so they basically washed their hands and shrugged and said, the Haitians can get any benefits that anyone else who can legally live in the United States is able to get. Don't blame us. And then what you have tended to see that kind of casts a little bit of suspicion on this is, and you can do this to this day, go to any supermarket or grocery on or around the first week of the month, particularly, or first weekend rather of the month, or really at any time, frankly, during business hours, after work hours or on weekends, and you will see these sort of supermarket shopping cart caravans, fully loaded, 1.5 to 2x full that they could be, with impeccably dressed, what look like upper class people. They're Haitians, and they seem to be buying the entire store of Kroger's, of Walmart, for instance. And when you observe what they're doing at checkout, they're using EBT, WIC, they're using basically food stamps for this.
Multiple
and we
cards,
wonder,
I assume,
these
right?
these are able-bodied young people, certainly in full and fit health, looking pretty sharp, looking so fly, as we might say.
Yeah.
And how is it that they're getting so much? There's one gentleman named Baron Selig, who I believe you might have a clip of him in a city commission meeting. He has been a minister to the homeless, and he's a small business restaurateur and has been for a number of decades in Springfield. And he has been fully aware of a number of the scams that have been involving the Haitian population. And he reported at the Clark County Concerned Citizens Town Hall that I co-hosted a couple of weeks ago. He, through his work with the Haitians, because he does a lot of like food pantries and whatnot, Haitians will show up and just get free food from the free pantry and then go sell it out of a van on the street corner for pennies on the dollar because they got it for free. Again,
Yep.
low trust, low conscientious society. You know, well,
Mhm.
we see Americans fishing in the pond. Well, so the pond provides food. Okay, there's
Mhm.
geese.
Yep.
We can process and prepare geese, just like basically chicken. So we can do that too. I think it's that sense of we don't do that in America. Enculturation that had not happened. And could not at the
Mhm.
scale that people were imported here. And again, they say that the influx was more like an invasion, is the phrase that's regularly used.
Mhm.
Uh,
So
and
yeah, that reminds me of one of the questions I had, Joshua, for you, and that is that they told you that they were targeted because they couldn't defend themselves. How do they? What led them to that realization? What facts led them to that realization? Because there had to be somebody directing, some agency or group of agencies and NGOs was directing it.
there seemed to be a unique, let's say, alignment of those who would benefit financially from Haitian presence, who all happened to be, let's say, stakeholders within Springfield, within Central Ohio. You have the pro-Haitian GDP first rhino of a Republican governor, Mike DeWine, who
Got
has
a
a
clip of
charitable
him too.
foundation in Haiti and has for years. He has long been an advocate, even in his rule going back to when it was the first Trump administration. That's how far this guy has been in charge here, the first Trump administration.
Mhm.
And he was pleading with the federal government to send refugees and immigrants to come work in Ohio. So this has long been a replacement population strategist
Mhm.
here,
Yeah.
Governor DeWine. And then when
Right.
you have, during the first Trump administration, you have a number of success stories coming out about reindustrializing America, making things in
Mhm.
America again, opening factories and new warehouses and expanding, and thousands of jobs coming to Springfield. Then Biden gets in, and then this is what the residents tell me: all these exciting developments in economics and new jobs, and we can finally work again, and this is going to be great. We don't have to drive over to Dayton or over to Columbus or 3 counties away, to
Right.
work for $12 an hour. We can work for real living wages here in Springfield. Our kid can get a job, doesn't have to,
Mhm.
do DoorDash and Lyft, for example, can have a real job, a real future.
Mhm. Yeah.
Suddenly the jobs are gone.
Mm.
It's just, oh, they're all filled because companies contacted temporary staffing agencies in town, and the staffing agencies hired and transported to Springfield, Ohio, Haitians by the thousands. Get them connected and hooked up for these positions, temporary worker positions,
Mhm.
so you don't have to pay them benefits. They don't have the same rights as a full-time
Right.
employee or even a part-time employee. And you replace entire shifts at these factories, these assembly lines, these plants that were supposed to be American jobs. You replace all of those jobs with Haitian, temporary Haitian workers, whom you can pay significantly less.
Yep.
And um because of the influx resulting in supply and demand, so now
Mhm.
housing and rentals and whatnot increases significantly in pricing. Many locals are priced out, and the
Mhm.
homeless population exploded overnight in Springfield, Ohio, as a result. Many of these people
Yeah.
came to me, Joshua. I've been living out of my car for 2 years. I go to the YMCA to shower a couple times a
Mhm.
week. I work in fast food. I have all this
Mhm.
credit card debt, trying to get back under. But
Yeah.
now there's a gentleman named Bruce who's also been an minister to the homeless population in Springfield. It used to be you can get in a place for $500-600 a month, but now if you have kids and you want to have like a nominally comfortable housing in a not dangerous part of Clark County,
Mhm.
you have to have first and last month's rent plus a security deposit of the same amount, and that housing is now about $2,500.
Oh my
That's what you would
goodness.
expect in like maybe a tier B type
Yeah.
city, tier
Yeah.
C. Springfield is 59,000 people. Clark County, kind of rural.
Mhm.
It's not
Just a
Dayton.
little. Yeah.
It's not even a Columbus. So you need $7,500. And the people who were expecting these jobs that would have actually enabled that,
Mhm.
we're working at one of these companies that were sort of promised jobs under the first Trump administration. The people of Springfield tell me explicitly, we were supposed to be a Donald J. Trump success story. And they intercepted that success under Biden and Mayorkas and selected us for punishment because, again, we're a largely white, working class, Trump supporting, conservative, Christian, Republican area. And we have no organizers who exist on our behalf. There has recently been a split in the Clark County Republican Party. So you even have local organizers disorganized, frankly. And there's just immense exploitation. And of course, the Haitians themselves are being exploited because they don't know that when you show up to Ohio, that you can't really be charged per person or per mattress, which was what a number of the landlords were doing, charging them per person. Like, okay, you have the 6 kids, you have the 4 mattresses. Okay, we're going to charge you per mattress on the floor.
Wow.
They didn't understand things like a water bill or paying for utilities, and that those are different things. And one of the most common scams was run by Haitians who got here first, who realized they can lie to their own people, claim to be the landlord, be the actual renter, and then pocket all the money for themselves. And then the
Oh my
family who's been
gosh.
paying you now gets an eviction notice for not paying the rent for 6 months or whatnot. It's in English. They don't know because they only speak Creole, and they were literally brought here.
Yeah.
Some of the only people who were able to
Unbelievable.
get along with the Haitians were those who speak Portuguese already,
Right.
who were like missionaries to Brazil or something like that.
Mhm.
And these are all the stories that were not covered, I think, by the mainstream media, because the story is low IQ, poor white Trump supporters, the untouchables, the basket full of deplorables, as the left and Hillary would call them, saying all these things about Haitians. Therefore, it couldn't be true because they're white. Therefore, they're racist.
Yeah,
And
it's
that
all about black
racial
and
aspect
white.
of it was ubiquitous.
All about black and white. We got to take another break. I got a couple questions in the audience. I want to let them ask some questions because this story is much bigger than just the state of Ohio or the city of Springfield. Too, this is across America important. And I appreciate Joshua you coming to be here. We'll be right back with Joshua Lisec, author of this forthcoming book, man, Oral History of the Haitians of Springfield.
At a certain age, you stop chasing younger. You start protecting what helps you feel steady, strong, and well. Your body's collagen matters. Collagen matters. It supports the structure of your skin, joints, and connective tissue. But as the years go by, your body needs more support from the inside. That's where Bella Grace Elixir comes in. Bella Grace Elixir combines Verisol collagen, the world's most clinically proven collagen, with asteryl astaxanthin and cat's claw in a proprietary blend designed to help support the processes that reconstruct collagen, while also offering antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. And this isn't just for women. It's for men and women who want to age with more confidence, more care, and a daily wellness routine that supports the body from within. One simple elixir, thoughtfully formulated for whole body wellness. Take care of the body that has carried you this far. Order Bella Grace Elixir today at melissahousebg.com.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine claims President Trump's plans to deport illegal Haitians will be a mistake. DeWine told CBS News Monday Haitians are vital to his state's economy and to the city of Springfield in particular, where they are heavily concentrated. ICE plans to start deporting illegal Haitians as early as this week, following the Supreme Court ruling last month ending temporary protected status for Haitians and Syrians.
These are people who have helped Springfield really come back. Springfield has been making a real comeback. The Haitians who are living there and employed there, they came there to work, and they came there because there were jobs that were not being filled by other people.
Springfield saw a sudden influx of Haitians in 2021, leading to a rise in traffic injuries and fatalities. These individuals are underrepresented when it comes to violent crime and property theft.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. It's Training Tuesday, and the subject we're learning about is illegal aliens being force immigrated into towns in America. And the town we're discussing is Springfield, Ohio. You know, where the President of the United States told you They're eating the cats and the dogs. And the media said it was a hoax, and collaborator, traitor Republicans like Governor DeWine there are actually a part of the architecture of this horrendous attack on the Native American Springfield, Ohio population. Yeah, I said it. They're Native American Springfield Ohioans, and they're primarily white, and they're blue-collar workers. And my guest today is Joshua Lisec. He's the author of his new book about the Springfield Haitians, an oral history about it. Joshua, we got some questions in the audience. I want to take one of those real quick before I ask you about DeWine there. Go ahead, Shell.
We have AJ, sir.
Shell, thank you. Colonel, thank you so much, Mr. Lisec. It's a pleasure, sir. My question has to do with the church. Ohio is connected to the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. Given the good Catholics that exist there, it is a concern of mine that I'm sure they have brought up these issues in regards to voodoo and all the fallout that's there with the faithful in their respective parishes. Did you hear anything from the church leadership, or maybe there was some sort of communique that came down from either Cincinnati or Baltimore as a whole, or even the Vatican to maybe say, hey, keep your mouth shut and toe the line, politically speaking? What are your opinions on that? Always appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I can get right to that. So there are a number of Catholic organizations and churches that, from my perspective and the perspective of the citizenry that I interviewed, aligned from the beginning with Haiti first. There is, of course, St. Vincent de Paul. There is Catholic Charities, and there is the Springfield Empowerment Center that was sort of a Catholic social services venture, explicitly Haiti first, these organizations. There is a saying amongst the Dominicans who share Hispaniola with the Haitians. And I interviewed a number of Dominicans for the book. What are your neighbors actually like? And they describe what happened to Springfield, Ohio, happens to them every single day, which is why they do what they can to keep as many Haitians out of their country as they possibly can. There was a viral meme, I'm not sure how accurate it was, but it said the number one most common autocorrect Google search, long tail keyword Google search for the Dominicans is how to avoid Haitians. Of course, Springfield did not have that advantage. But there's a saying amongst the Dominicans that Haitians are 20% Protestant, 80% Catholic, and 100% Voodoo. It's not uncommon. You see this also in Western and Southern African traditions, where the people will practice a combination of both. They will have sort of the integration with local, utterly primitive, as many believers would call demonic rituals, and then also have a crucifix right alongside it. There's a practice of a let's say a kind of you might call it a Spanishized version of voodoo called Santeria, which is practiced amongst Central Americans and others in the Caribbean from the Spanish-speaking perspective. That's very similar. And I also know that there is a particular primitive set of rituals. I don't recall exactly what it is. It might be Mayan Rite Mass, I think it's called, which is, unfortunately, in my opinion, an integration of the Catholic traditional Latin Mass with primitive, and I would, in my opinion, describe them as demonic rituals that unite them together to make sure that the Catholics can get along better and work amongst the locals and not force them to give up their ancient pagan rituals. And we see the same issue here. You know, unfortunately, a social justice focused evangelical, Protestant, and Catholic, let's say, alliance of these churches. Oh, the Haitian neighbors, they always like to say Haitian neighbors. What did Jesus say? When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was, and they sort of cite those things. And oh, look, these poor helpless Haitians. We got to help them. Oh, they're so helpless. They need us. So you know what I think happened? I think they were able to tap into white guilt and the white savior complex. And that was then activated amongst the gentry, amongst the cosmopolitan elites, those social justice-minded, more liberal Christians, or at least Christians in name. And that's why what happened to Springfield has happened to Springfield as well.
Yeah, I call those fake Christians because they conveniently leave out the parts where Jesus said, go and sin no more. And I think the Santeria stuff, that kind of activity, is pretty much sinful in the Christian, in Christ's eyes anyway, in God's eyes. Uh, and it's right. You're right, man. It's very, very deceitful, and nuanced, and it fools a lot of average everyday Americans. But the people of Springfield that you've interviewed, they're not fooled anymore, are there?
No, not at all. Not at all. And of course, the great irony that so many of them are again, these are not like backward hillbilly types like they're so often portrayed in the media. I think manipulatively. These are educated. These are professionals. These are small business owners. These are masters in their craft or in their trade. Some of them are educated, landowners, investors, even local officials, first responders. I've spoken with, and frankly, their number one concern is to not be called racist, because in a community where good jobs are hard to come by, being known as a racist is enough to sink your chances of getting a good job or getting a promotion or keeping your employment. Your kids could get bullied. You could be asked to leave your church, for example. Woke is not dead. It is still a scourge across the United States, especially in a city like Springfield, where the insult is added to their injury and then more injury to that same insult.
Yeah, and all of our institutions are still heavily infected with woke, from the federal down to the local level and into the schools, the government schools, especially, Joshua. I've seen you've done some town hall type activity. I don't know if you were a speaker at those or you organized them here recently. So what are you hearing from just average people that show up to those?
Well, the first thing that they offer is, frankly, their gratitude. I have admittedly become a little bit of a folk hero now in Springfield. They've sort of appointed me as the Heritage Citizens spokesman. They say that I am their voice. They say I am the voice of truth. There have been a number of people who said, I'm quoting verbatim, God sent you to Springfield, Joshua Lisec, to tell our story, that sort of thing. And I think that may very well be not an exaggeration, because the number one most common word that I hear from residents now is vindication. And that this book vindicates them, that everything that they suffered through, the demoralization, the humiliation, the lies and slander about them in the media, here it is all compiled. And it turns out that everything that they said happened did in fact happen. And someone with, dare I say, clout, a little bit of institutional status with my background, is able to expend some of that personal capital on these people and invest in them. And I sort of see my book as a literary reparations for the Americans of Springfield.
That's a great way to put it. Literary reparations, because it's troublesome. These attacks on white American citizens, like this, being accused of racism. It doesn't matter where you live in the country. The politicians are afraid of it. By and large, not all people in the political arena shy away from that. I certainly will not. I refuse to accept it. I have too long of a recorded history of being a fair-minded American citizen, in professionally and public, and in civilian life. But they are deathly afraid of it. You're right. They run as far as they can, and we've really got to get our arms wrapped around it, because it's the Republicans that are the ringleaders of that fear. I think that drives wine, to be honest with you.
I think so. I think there's also an aspect of using the Haitians and people from underdeveloped parts of the world as empathy props. Is the reuse is the term I have sort of has come to me, because these charities, so-called, these churches, these nonprofits, these business interests, they sort of trot out to the Haitians and say, oh, look how much they're suffering. They need our help. Our residents are so mean and racist and mean-spirited and bigoted. We got to help them. Here's where you could donate to me. Empathy props, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I got to go to another break, the last break here. We'll take a question from the audience when we get back. But I want to hear more of what they're saying about this temporary protected status, the deportations, because I know you're hearing from the folks that you interviewed and that you talked to at the town halls. Where are they coming from? And is the government actually doing anything? Are the big questions I have left for the rest of the show, as from the aspect of the book. So I'll be right back with Joshua Lisec.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You know, the homeless problem. I don't know of a single homeless Haitian in this town because they all got vouchers. But I can show you a whole bunch of people that have been displaced because I'm that guy. Rob, you know, for 25 years I've worked with the homeless in this community. You know, a lot of people don't know because I'm not the guy out there blowing the horn because it ain't about me. It's the Jesus in me that goes out there and does it. Trust me, there's days I'm tired. But I'll get into homeless camps that nobody in a suit and tie will walk into. None. They trust me because I've never let them down. You know, and guys, if you don't think it's here right now, in October, we are getting ready to hit a wall here. There is not any relief for the homeless. The homeless people in this community are not the people you think they are. The squatters that aren't happening. It's not there. There's veterans. Come see me. I'm not real hard to find. Ask anybody on the street. They'll tell you how to get a hold of me. I'll take you there. And no, they don't want your toothpaste and your peanut butter sandwiches. They want you to come up with a solution to why they're displaced, why they lived in a house. I personally know, and I'll testify under oath, my hand to God, somebody that lost their house. They were there 7 years. The landlord said, hey, I need you to move out, find a temporary place. I'm going to remodel it, and then you can come back.
Thank you,
It was a
Baron.
lie. They moved them out, tripled the rent.
Thank you.
Follow
Thank you for
the
speaking.
money.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. We're live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. And my guest is the man that went and spent many, many weeks on the ground in Springfield, Ohio. He's a native Ohioan himself, a neighbor to this town that was purposely invaded by tens of thousands. I think it's probably closer to 40,000 of a town of 69,000 people. And that's why they were eating the cats and the dogs, folks. Joshua Lisec's my guest today, and the author of his new book, The Oral History of the Haitians of Springfield. And Joshua, before I take this question from the audience, the gentleman there is Bert, I think his name is, very credible, longtime advocate for the homeless. His point was simply this. It's not the Haitians that are homeless. It's the veterans and the folks that used to work in the factories that are losing their homes every single day, and they can't get jobs to be able to stay in their homes that pay enough. Right? Am I wrong?
Yes, you have that right. Certainly, the issue that, and his name is Baron Selig. His name is Ken, but he goes by Baron Selig. He's a reverend, a pastor who's been ministering to the homeless and others in need for decades now in Springfield and Clark County and in other parts of the United States. He's also a restaurateur, an entrepreneur, a community advocate, and he's one of my sources I've spoken to at length. A significant amount of time I spent with him and others who've gone to Springfield City Commission, just as Barron was, to share some of these things. Another gentleman named Mark Sanders, he was one of the people who was one of the first whistleblowers on the domestic animal consumption, processing, butchering, likely, we fully believe for voodoo rituals based on what we were seeing, because in the Haitian voodoo religion, ideally they're supposed to do blood sacrifices of goats and chickens, but their religion allows them to sacrifice other animals that are available. And of course, what has been reported in Springfield, I think credibly so, in my opinion, and with evidence, pigs, squirrels, rats and mice, ducks, geese, and of course, cats. Now, I think, by the way, on the matter of the dogs never came up, and there is real bit of a taboo against dog meat in Haiti, and there will be some unscrupulous market merchants who try to pass off dog meat as being goat. So one thing that they will do is they'll put the head of the goat in front of the meat to say, "Hey, look, this is actually goat meat. I'm not trying to sell you, this low grade, poor quality dog meat." This is so far removed from first world America. What are you doing bringing all these people here? What's wrong with you? Is how the people of Springfield feel, having to bear witness to all of this. Not to mention the number one complaint, which is the driving and the third world tactics of, I had a clear lane to drive through the red light, so I just drove through it. You wait for me. Low trust, low conscientiousness worldview. I think on the matter of the dogs, I believe what happened with that, where it was like dogs and cats or cats and dogs, I think probably what happened is someone meant to type cats and ducks or ducks and cats.
Possibly, yeah.
Because that's a real big complaint. And I think someone accidentally typed docks, like DOCKS, changing the U to an O, because on our smartphones, U and O are very close to one another.
Right.
So I think someone typed cats and docks instead of ducks, and then it was auto-corrected to cats and dogs. And simply because the phrase cats and dogs is far more common, and that's how it ended up to Trump. And he was simply reading what was mistyped or was auto-corrected. But the point is the same. The correct number of domesticated animals being eaten by Haitians in Springfield and sacrificed to voodoo idols. The correct number is 0, and every number above that is intent of policy. The purpose of an immigration system is what it does, and what this one did is it imported, frankly, an utterly primitive culture into middle America as, the people tell me, punishment for who they are.
It's amazing. It's amazing. That's not you saying it. That's them. It's the people from Springfield that are saying that. Well, let's take this one
last word on what the people are saying, Rob, is on most books there'd be like praise from other authors, like on the back of a book, this best-selling author and this retired general and whatever. But on the back of Haitians of Springfield, it comes out in 2 months. On the back of the book are 10 blurbs from heritage residents, born and raised in Springfield. Lived in Springfield for 12 years, moved here 20 years ago, worked in the city for 15 years. And they're the ones who are endorsing the book. So I think this makes the book debunk proof, because you can't say I made it up. People say, oh, it's just hearsay. Yeah, but I'm hearing thousands of people say the same thing, and they don't know each other, and many of them don't like each other. In a lot of smaller towns across America, you know this, Rob. There can be cliques, and there can be like little mini caste systems in the community or whatever. So I went to everybody, even those who don't like each other, and I heard the same stories, and they showed me similar levels of proof that satisfied my own skepticism approaching the subject matter.
Well, yeah, when you go to thousands of people across the spectrum, and I guarantee you talk to Democrats, Independents, Republicans, Libertarians, whatever, atheists, Catholics, Protestants, whatever, and they're all consistently saying the same thing. That's investigative journalists. That's getting to the truth of the matter, not just trying to come up with some biased left or right wing or centrist worldview. Well, let's take this last question before we get into the show from the audience. Go ahead, Shell.
We have Liz, sir.
Good afternoon, Colonel Joshua. Nice to meet you. I have several questions, but my main one is, has there been studies done for the local Ohioans who lost their jobs to these people? I mean, you got to figure some of these people were probably Hispanic, Native American, Black, white. that lost these jobs to these Haitians? And also, how many recalls has Dole had since they started hiring these people compared to Americans? And where's PETA in all this? That's my questions.
Good questions, Joshua.
Let's start with PETA. Yes. So PETA, that's the radical vegan activist organization. People eating tasty animals. No, that's not it. Anyway, so they're a radical left-wing organization that's aligned with all left-wing causes. They are famously pro-abortion, for example, which it's like they elevate animal life above human life, obviously, because that's just who they are. The left. I wrote a book about that with Jack Posobiec, called Unhumans. It's about those activists. In any case, they're nowhere to be found, of course, because of intersectional politics, identity politics, and all of that. So they don't want to touch the story. Moral relativists who looked into the matter said, well, you can't blame the Haitians because, you eat chicken, so there's no difference between them engaging in, it's actually sustainable animal consumption, getting the geese and ducks from the park. Actually, in fact, that's a good thing that they're doing that, because they're free range, so they're actually healthier and leaner. This is what people who are looking into the matter said seriously. It's hilarious. They say you're racist for saying it's happening. Oh, it is happening. Well, you're still racist because you're saying it's a bad thing. I saw that cycle run on the people of Springfield over and over. I do document job displacement, career-ending impact on heritage citizens. I conducted via big data poll. My friend Rich Barris I commissioned for the first professional and academic poll of Clark County residents, registered Springfield voters and then the surrounding communities of the county. And what I heard did not surprise me. Approximately 2/3 of our sample either don't support or very much don't support the Haitian influx. So 2/3. That sounds about right. Now, when we look at the third of people who do, what do we notice about them? What do we notice? Let's do a little noticing and let's notice what we notice. Well, what are the demographics that support the Haitian impact? The highest earning income brackets, those who identify as atheist, agnostic, or non-religious, or uncomfortable moment, African Americans, blacks. Those are the three categories of the demographic categories that we noticed that were most supportive of the Haitian influx. And I think each of them for different reasons. The gentry, the land owning, entrepreneur, small business owner, landlord class of people, the asset owners, the asset economy. If you're able to charge a Haitian family 3 times as much, like Barron was saying, well, profit first, capitalism, greed is good, Gordon Gekko, you're going to do that, and you're going to like it. And then you're going to support Republicans who are going to keep the influx coming and accelerate it, because now you can get Haitians paying 3x. So you've tripled you've tripled your revenue just by having a population replacement and nothing else. So now you can use that money to buy more properties, bring more Haitians in, And if you own a business, well, then you can hire temporary Haitian workers. And maybe they're not as skilled or as competent as an American. But instead of hiring an American at full-time salary for $33 an hour, you pay 2 Haitians $11 and they kind of figure it out between them. So now you've doubled your body count in there, don't have to pay any of them benefits or whatnot like you would an American. And now you've decreased your manpower cost by more than 33%. And if you're kind of a libertarian first type of greed is good, capitalism above all, one nation under GDP type of an American who doesn't really care about the displacement of others, and in fact, you kind of like it because it benefits you financially, you're going to be just like Mike DeWine, our governor.
Yeah, and none of it benefits America. It doesn't matter whether you get rich off of something or not. I always thought that the Democrats and Black Americans were against big corporations fleecing the population on low wages and all that. So that one surprises me, the Black American one. Did you see any data, or do you have any data yet on the quality of the goods and products on the manufacturing side that these Haitians took the heritage citizens' jobs from? in the new factories and everything? Is there quality issues with those, or are they doing well?
I have gotten quite a few stories
Well, you're
from
gonna
that
have to save it
on
to
that
another
exact issue. In
show.
fact, one of them came in yesterday afternoon, in which she's a quality. She doesn't want me to announce her name or where she works, but she's in quality assurance, and she said that the Haitians' workmanship is so shoddy relative to the Americans that they have to send the vast majority of it back to be remade.
Oh my
So it's
gosh.
actually probably costing employers. And this one particular company that she works at, they make materials that, let's say, if there's a mechanical failure, people will die. It's like life or death products.
That's the ultimate in that libertarian GDP above all mindset, man. Well, tell folks where they can get the book real quick. You can find Joshua on X at Joshua Lisec, but where can they get the book and when's it going to be out for publication?
Yes, Haitians of Springfield releases on October 6th. It's available in pre-order just about everywhere. Amazon, probably the first place to look. Bookshop.org, Barnes & Noble. We're expecting a nationwide release in stores, but the sooner you order it for pre-order, the sooner you're going to get your copy of it.
And I will say this, Joshua, if the native Springfield folks want to get a copy of my book, which they should, because you're a living example of what you can do about it, I'll get them a copy and send it to them. All they got to do is send me a DM here on X. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate it. It's a great story because it's an American story that needs to be retold over and over again so we can reverse it.
My pleasure, Rob. Thanks for having me on. And folks, I contributed the foreword to Rob Maness' book, What You Can Do About It.
Yeah, and thank you very much. I'm very grateful, my friend. Very, very grateful. All right, tomorrow it's Whistleblower Wednesday. Jake Novak from WABC Radio will be with us tomorrow talking about communist grocery stores in New York City and the Marxist revolution that is occurring before your eyes in the United States of America. I'll see you then.